joining this session. I'm super excited to be part of this conference, Women in Tech conference, and continue our support elevating women in workspace and in leadership positions. This is something we at VTS is continuously trying to move the needle at the individual level and at the organization level through talent acquisition, by creating an inclusive environment, and also by participating in events such as this in partnership with Women Tech Network. I am Deepa Muralikrishnan. I'm the VP of Product Management at VTS. I'm here to share my experience as a woman in technology going through my career for the past 25 years, and what are some of the strategies and practices we have established in VTS, as well as we as women leaders, how can we help bridge the gap and uplift more women into tech. Women for a long time has been underserved in tech. Although 48% of our total workforce has women, the gender gap is pretty high, specifically in fast-growing jobs and highly paid jobs such as computer and engineering. It is improving. It's gone from 7% to 25%, but that's still a huge gap, which we need to bridge the gap. Right. And this is a real problem. It's a real problem because, as you all know, most of the companies are going through digital transformation. One of the most critical challenge we have is filling the gaps in the critical roles. However, we haven't figured out how to tap into the untapped women technology skills, which is women in technology field. So I do believe fundamentally there are two big challenges we are currently facing, and I'm sure most of you would agree with it. Number one is what we call the leaky pipeline, right? With the gender stereotype starts very early on in our childhood. By the time we hit college, a lot of women and girls and women drop out of STEM and move away from STEM even before they hit college. The second challenge we face is, which most of us can relate to, once we make it to the workforce, we are challenged with work-family barriers. So the research actually shows highly talented, skilled women in their mid-30s choose to put more value on family relationship, the society relationship, and they typically take over the primary caretaker responsibilities, which is proven during pandemic. 1 in 4 women actually downshifted or moved away totally from workforce. So what can we do? I think through better understanding and weaving advocacy, we can encourage women to pursue and advance tech-related careers by providing opportunities, making sure we have the right environment and provide the right work-life balance, equity with men, help build confidence, and help reach our professional and personal goals. So I'm going to start off talking a little bit about my personal journeys. I often get this question asked: have you faced gender bias at your workplace? The answer is yes, and I'm pretty sure most of you can relate to it. The answer is yes, but I need to start off talking a little bit on why I believe the reason I face those challenges, right? So a little bit about my background. I come from a city called Chennai in South India, and where I grew up it's the roles of a boy and a girl is clearly defined, right? We are from a small knit family. Boys are trained to study hard, work hard, and take care of the family. Girls are trained to cook, clean, be respectful elders. Education is important. We have to be knowledgeable, but we are not required to earn income. So I had a great childhood. My dad made sure that we have a good, comfortable family. We had all the comfort we need. But when we grew up, my brother took over my dad's business. My sister and I were we were raised and trained to believe our sole purpose is to make a good home. Right? We are raised to believe that we need to get married, we need to have kids, we need to build a good home. So I got married when I was 21, and it was an arranged marriage. I've seen my husband only once, and I moved to UK. He's a doctor, and I've been married for 25 years now, and I have 2 lovely kids. Everything is great. The challenge, though, is when I got into the workforce in my early 20s, I had a very good career path for the first few years. But when I was trying to move on from an individual contributor to a managerial role, I was expecting to receive a promotion and I didn't get it. My my male counterpart did receive the promotion, and the feedback I received was, you need to mature more, you need to show more confidence, you need to be self-aware and be not emotional. So those were the feedback which I received, and I was reflecting on myself, and I strongly believe that those were valid feedback, but those were all symptoms of my upbringing, right? How my upbringing really influenced how I showed up in career. It came across, it was perceived as I'm unconfident, and some of my emotional feelings might have triggered in some of the situations. So okay, good feedback, let me work on it. 10 years after that, I hit the same problem, right? And I truly believe, which a lot of women in workforce, we do face this challenge where it comes across as a male, we are promoted and you prove. As a woman, we just need to work much harder. We need to prove that we can do the job before we get promoted. So in my late 30s, I had the same challenge where I had to work much harder to get the next promotion. And these are learnings. I think as we go through this and as we establish our policies and assessment in our organizations, we have to make sure we have a well balanced assessment process, and we create an inclusive environment for all genders. But what was even more interesting for me is, in spite of going through this, in spite of having all these experience, I see doing the same mistake to my kids. I have a boy and a girl. I signed up my boy in computer classes, in computer summer camps. I got him mechanical sets, and I got doll houses and kitchen set for my daughter, and I signed her up for dance classes. So it was very interesting for me to see, like, it starts in our home. We have to be able to identify these bias, these gender bias which happens at home, be able to take actions. That's the only way we will be able to break the stereotype cycle and bring in more younger women into workforce and into tech. Some of the other challenges or tough decisions we as women are often have to make is choices, right? Both men and women have to make tough choices as we go through the career. But what's interesting when it comes to women is, I have several women leaders who have inspired me as I've navigated. But what sticks to me the most is Indra Nooyi, who's the ex-CEO of PepsiCo. She talks a lot about how a biological clock and a career clock are in constant conflict for women, which is so true. Throughout this career, we are often asked to make choices because we cannot perform great in the job, and we cannot be a great mom at home if our work-life balance doesn't support that, if we are not able to make those critical choices at the right moment. So I think at several points during my career, I did take a step down, or I have to take an individual contributor. I've made choices throughout my career as I had 2 kids and I was navigating between work and family. But the key here is, these are choices which are made by me. And I think these are choices which should be made by women on what they want to do. The choices shouldn't be made for us. And how, as organizations, we can help is making sure we have the right primary caretaker policies, flexibility around work, both for primary and secondary caretakers. So I think we have learned these, and at VTS, we are very conscious about what support we should provide for women, and we have great policies around flexibility and flexibility and paternity and maternity leave for the primary and secondary caretakers. Something else which I think a lot about is also around, as a woman leader, what is important for me. we need more women leaders. We need more women leaders. We need to bring in different perspective into workforce for us to be successful at the business. But for us to have more women leaders, we, number one, need a seat at a table. So when we bring more women and we have our seat at a table, we also need to be able to bring our whole self and be authentic. So it's critical for us to have a seat at a table, be ourselves and being authentic, so that we are not trying to fit ourselves to a mold which we have been molded into, but we are being able to be authentic. We bring a different perspective and really help grow more women leaders. So as a, from an organization perspective, I do believe that embedding DE&I strongly within our culture is very critical. Creating an inclusive environment where we have a space for all the different voices to be heard at every level in the organization is going to be very important for us to create an inclusive environment for us to be successful. And is there an important tip I could provide? And based on my experience, I'm sure a lot of you guys will agree to this as well. I think one of the greatest things which happened to me throughout my career is having a good sponsor, is having a good coach and mentor for me. Because as I was navigating, people who have done that, it could be both. I mean, in my case, I was fortunate to have both men and women sponsors and mentors. It's important for us to get this support and help them educate us and navigate us as we go through our career choices we make. So I would highly recommend finding a good sponsor and mentor as a woman as you're trying to grow into the workspace. Again, at VTS, we have great mentorship program. I think 48% of our mentees who participate are women here. And it was super critical for me as I was trying to navigate my career and become leader. And I would highly recommend that approach for anybody who's looking to have a career growth within technology as well. So let me talk a little bit about VTS and what are we doing, right? How are we trying to create an environment where we are continuously looking to uplift women in workspace generally and in tech specifically? And also, how are we creating an open and fun environment for women to be authentic, a safe environment for them to identify when there is any level of bias happening? We just need a safe and open environment for us to be able to recognize that, call it out, and change it. So VTS is the number one SaaS provider for commercial real estate, and we are one of the fastest growing prop tech companies. Our mission here is to transform the $30 trillion industry, CRE industry. And since our founding in 2012, our vision is to transform every transaction that's happening throughout the life cycle of a building in commercial real estate. We are around 600 plus employees worldwide. We have 45,000 users using our platform. And a company like us, where we are growing very fast, this is a great achievement when we see that we are consequently being called out as a great place to work. Our CEO is rated pretty high on Glassdoor. And a recent survey conducted by Great Place to Work also shows that 92% of our employees says this is a great place to work. So truly, we are doing something well where we are creating an inclusive environment and we are able to achieve these. Diversity, equity, and inclusion is a core value of everything we do here. And I'll tell you why that's important. Our co-founders, both Nick and Ryan, strongly believe for us to continue innovation and grow, it's important that we have different perspective in our organization happening at every level. So DE&I is something which is core in everything we do. Our differentiator is people, and we focus a lot on the value, and the values of our companies, you would see, is embedded in everything we do, right from hiring, how we train, how we do the interview process, how we operate and do performance review. So it's critical for us to make sure we are living by our core values. Some of the DEI initiatives which has been pretty helpful and successful and helped us as an organization to be successful. We definitely, a mentorship program is highly recommended. As I mentioned, 48% of our mentees are women here. We have excellent employee resource groups. There are several groups catered towards new moms, minority groups. It's just like different groups, allyship group, like groups where people want to come together and help each other to be successful. We have ongoing trainings, which is important because we follow the Ronnie rule. We also make sure job descriptions, we do gender decoding. So nothing comes across as it's bias or there's any level of bias happening in a whole process. We participate in several DE&I events as well. And some of the highlights is in partnership with diversity partners like Women Tech, like Inner Sight, Pursued. There's several events we have been conducting. We are trying to also learn from our experience and other experience and how we could continue bridging the gap and elevating women in workforce. The apprenticeship partnership with Pursued, we also try to bring in more underrepresented candidates into our organization. A proof of all these different approaches and strategies and how D&I is rooted in the values we do here is shown in our survey. 91% of our employees truly believe they're included and they're accepted at VTS. So happy to talk more about this. And if any of you are interested in exploring more, either the experience of women here at VTS or our approach at how we do things here, we're happy to connect with you either through VTS.com or VTS.com or through LinkedIn. Before I open up for the Q&A, if you could take a moment answering the poll on the right side on the screen. What do you believe? What do you believe is the value or what motivates you the most from an employer? So if you guys want to take a quick second, and then I'm available to answer any specific questions you have. So I say proactively ask for feedback. I ask my boss, peers, and staff, what can I do better or different to support you and meet your needs as your manager? The feedback tends to be more authentic, direct, and honest because it opens the dialogue in a non. Yeah, that's great. That's great, Milo. I think that's true. I think it's true. The more we become authentic, I'm pretty sure people will open up, and we're going to have a very open conversation. So any advice for finding a mentor outside of your current company? I definitely use my past network. Actually, you'll be surprised how many people truly want to help us succeed. And I use my network, my past network, to help. And I reach out to them and ask them for help to connect me with other mentors. So definitely leverage your networks outside your company and request them to connect you with other leaders in your field or your industry for you to make a connection. Okay, Shilpa, happy to connect with you and talk about it. If you want to send a quick note to LinkedIn, and happy to chat around this more. And it was great being part of this, and enjoy your rest of the conversation, the conference. Thank you for being here.